Hi, welcome to my chilly and damp Zone 5B garden in New Brunswick. I'm James, and today's video is predominantly going to be about my seedlings. I brought my seedlings out about 5 days ago when the evening temperatures have been reliably above zero. Although the coming week we do have some more nighttime lows approaching -2. And although these are all hardy perennials, I am considering bringing them in or covering them with a cloth just to gain another growing zone and protect them from frost. I've got about 150 plants here, almost 150 perennials. I started from seed in late January, early February. And it's a real fun and relatively affordable way to get a lot of plants into the garden. I spent approximately $5 per seed packet, not even, maybe $3 per seed packet, and got 6 packs, so that was $18 in seed. I got $10 in a seed starting mix, as well as $20 in this just potting mix. It says vegetable and herb, but really can be used for any kind of plant. And so yeah, for around $40, I've got almost 150 perennials here, and they all look pretty good. Let me go over them here a little bit in detail. So these ones right here on the right, these are purple foxglove. I planted a lot of these. I probably have 20. I've got a handful of them here, as well as a good 15 or 20 of them there. I don't have any foxgloves in my garden. These are a quintessential cottage garden flower. They grow very large, about 6 feet in height, and these ones are purple. They're good for the back of the border. One thing I do like about these is they flower a little earlier than a lot of my other plants. I don't have a lot of flowering plants in late spring, which will add a bit more color to my garden. One thing to note with these guys are they are biannuals, so they may not flower the first year. They'll probably flower the second year. They're great for attracting hummingbirds, and they're hardy to Zone 4. These taller ones here, these are an oxeye sunflower or a Heliopsis. They get about 2 to 3 feet tall. This is a more compact variety of false sunflower. Some of these false sunflowers can get quite tall, 4+ feet. This compact variety is good more for mid-border location. These ones are gonna flower single and double yellow flowers. And apparently they have a long growing season. I haven't had these in the garden yet, so I'm hoping that I'll have flowers on these from July to September. They're also very hardy to Zone 3, and they tolerate poor soils, which is nice because some of my gardens I haven't amended very well, and I've purposely planted plants that will thrive on poor soils. These 3 here with the fuzzy leaf. This plant came from my ditch. The seeds did. They're an actual, a native black-eyed Susan or rudbeckia. They have more of a rustic browning in the center. But I found I've started these from seed before. They seem to be either a short-lived perennial or a biannual where they flower every other year. I think they're just short-lived because they don't seem to come back every year. Here at the back, I got a good 20 to 30 lavenders. These are the headcoat lavender. Probably the most hardy of the lavender. It's an English lavender, and they are somewhat aromatic, but I like them because they are a real pollinator magnet. They grow to about 20 inches, maybe not even, so they're a good front border plant, and they're very typical of an English or cottage garden. They're very romantic and charming. and they bloom late spring to summer. I even like them for their foliage. Even when they're not in bloom, they kind of seem to have a grayish or kind of a silvery green foliage, although you can't really see that now. And they may reflower after their first round of flowering if you prune them. I've got a couple different types of Shasta daisies here. I got 6 of them there and another 5 of them there. These were just leftover seeds. I don't even know the variety. I believe these are probably Alaska, which I don't actually like. I find the Alaska Shasta daisies tend to flop. They're really unruly, tall and unruly, and just a little too untidy for my preference. These are a little bit smaller and slower growing, so I think I've had Madonna. I planted Madonnas before, and it's a dwarf variety. They get about 12 inches tall, a compact mounding habit. And if you deadhead, it'll bloom for quite a long season as well. And they're a really nice flower. This one here to the right, this is Agastaki or Agastache or Agastachi, depending on who you talk to. They're also called anise hyssop, licorice mint. They're a non-invasive mint. They are a pollinator magnet, which I like. I've got them all over the garden. They grow pretty tall. They get about 4 feet tall, and they flower with tall spikes of purpley lavender, kind of like a giant salvia, I would say. And I find they're very drought tolerant and also deer resistant, and just a low maintenance plant overall. These ones at the end here, these are penstemon. I planted a whole bunch of them, but I only got 3 of them that came up. They're called wedding bells. Apparently they get 18 to 24 inches. I'm a big fan of penstemons. I don't have this particular variety. I got it from Renee's garden. They are apparently fans, hummingbirds really like them. And this particular mix flowers from late spring to summer in a lavender, cream, coral, violet, and rose. Also quite hardy, down to zone 4. Most of these perennials will stay in the greenhouse here at least for, I would say, till early May, if not even mid-May. I find if I push it too soon, they don't really get much of a head start. They'll kind of just be slow off the start if I put them into the ground too soon. So hopefully we'll get some warmer weather here over the next couple weeks, and I can get most of these out into the garden in the next, couple weeks. Before I take you inside to show you a few of the annuals I started, I'd like to just show you a couple of the projects I've got planned, a couple things that I'm a little disappointed by after the winter, and how I intend to resolve them. So we're here at the front yard looking towards the front lawn border, and you'll see on the left here I got some nice green grass growing, but to the right it's pretty brown and there's no growth. This is because of grubs. They're June bug larvae, and they've completely decimated a good chunk of my lawn. This is the second year it's done it, and I'm not a huge lawn person. I'm not too uppity about my lawn, but I do like to have something that grows here. And essentially the June bug larvae, the grubs, will just go at the roots, and the sod you can just lift right up. It's not attached to anything anymore, and it's dead. And then you get birds like crows and skunks and raccoons digging up the ground, going after the grubs, and they just completely destroy your lawn. So I have used nematodes. I sprayed nematodes, beneficial nematodes, last spring. But apparently you have to apply it multiple seasons, or you may always have to apply it. But I think what I'll do this year is I may try that again in combination with planting clover, either a micro clover or just a white clover. I find, or I've read anyways, that the larvae find the roots of clover a little less desirable, although they still will go after them. Clover roots are a lot deeper and just less prone, I think, to being decimated the way a lawn turf is. So that'll be a job for the next week or two. Once the weather warms up, I'll rake up all the dead turf here and seed some clover. Garden is slowly waking up, getting more bulbs coming up and just slowly greening up. Lots of space to put the perennials that I've seeded. I'll have no problem finding room for the 150 or so plants that I've got. I got some real voids in some places, such as up front here. These are bobo hydrangeas, these three right here. And I've got probably about 10 feet of space to plant possibly a handful of the head coat lavender I've started from seed, just to give the space a more formal look. And I think they look great with the bobos, and when planted en masse, make quite a statement. Alternatively, I could add, in addition to the head coat lavender, several oxeye false sunflowers and a few foxgloves, just to make the space a little bit more cottagey and a little less formal. So indoors, I've got a simple grow light system set up here with 2 wire shelves, small wire shelves, and 3 lights. This is where I started all the perennials that I showed you earlier that are outside, and I've still got a handful of annuals that will eventually go outside, but not until the nighttime temperatures are consistently above 10 degrees Celsius, which probably won't be until late May, early June. Here I've got a couple different varieties of sunflowers, a dwarf sunsport and a sun dancer. One from Renee's garden, the other from West Coast Seeds. The sun dancer gets, it's the taller one of the two. It gets to be about 5 or 6 feet tall, and has flowers on has multiple flowers on one stalk, which is nice. A lot of sunflowers only have one flower on each individual stalk. It's pretty fast growing, and actually it's so dense that it can create a hedge if you want it to be a hedge, privacy hedge. The other one is a dwarf sunspot. It only gets about 2 feet tall, but it has about a foot wide sunflower head on it. Be good for containers or just pop in different areas in the garden. These here are purple gomphrena. I think I got these from Johnny's Seeds. They're ball-shaped bloom and a bee magnet. I haven't had success. I've tried growing these from seed before, and I planted a lot. I've only got probably 5 here that look reasonable, and the rest look pretty pitiful. But if I can get a handful of these gomphrena in the garden, that'd be great. This is perhaps one of my favorite annuals, and I don't really plant many annuals. I don't like to invest much time in annuals and effort and money. This is just a Cosmo. It's a mini blend. They are packed with flowers, especially if you keep them deadheaded. This particular variety blooms in different shades of pink and white. And just a few more sunflowers down there. And Raquel's got some vegetable seeds growing here. She's using the snail method, in which she seeds the seed directly into the soil here and wraps it in plastic. I'm not very familiar with it. I've never used it before, but apparently it is a great way to save on space. You can get a lot of seeds in a small area, and as they get larger, you can unwrap the snail or plastic and add more soil to it to allow the seedlings to keep growing. And then eventually when they're ready to be put outside, you just unravel it and you separate the roots and put them in the ground.
To wrap up this video, I thought I would just add a couple photos from last year of my back garden and use AI to insert some of the perennials that I planted from seed, just to provide some inspiration of what's to come.
Until next time, happy gardening, everybody.